All right, so we're diving deep this week. You guys have given us a ton of really fascinating stuff on everything happening in entertainment, media, and licensing, all the latest stuff, and we're going to break it all down for you right here, right now. We're going to be pulling out those key trends and, like, insights that we see. You know, it's the week ending March 30th, 2025. Might seem kind of quiet at first glance, but trust me, there are some really big stories hidden in the data.
Absolutely.
Our mission, to go beyond the headlines and really understand what these developments actually mean for the future of the industry.
Yeah, I mean, even when we aren't seeing some huge, splashy, blockbuster announcement, the way these projects are performing, the kinds of deals being made, all of that gives us those clues about the current state and where this whole entertainment world is going.
Exactly.
We're going to look at what those box office numbers are saying, who's really winning in this whole streaming war. We're going to do a deep dive on a massive movie that's about to drop, look at some big industry moves, and explore the wild world of brand collaborations.
It is a wild world out there.
It is.
Okay, let's jump right into it. Let's talk box office.
All right.
A Working Man, MGM, starring Jason Statham, debuted right at the top, pretty solid, $15 million. That actually beat some of those projections. What does that say about the current box office, mood?
That $15 million for A Working Man, it's really interesting. It suggests there are still a lot of people who want to go to the theater for a good action flick, especially with a star like Statham.
Yeah.
In a market that's often dominated by, those giant franchise movies, seeing a straightforward action thriller succeed on its own, that's something to pay attention to for sure.
It really is. And then we have Disney's Snow White, a pretty steep drop in its second week. Is that just kind of the way things go now with these big releases, or is that...
Yeah, a big drop after that first weekend. It's actually pretty typical. All that marketing hype, the excitement, it leads to a really front-loaded opening. The next few weeks are going to be really telling. That's how we see if it has staying power and how it measures up against its budget.
Right. It makes you realize just how important that initial marketing push is.
Huge. And the challenge of keeping the audience engaged, especially if those reviews are mixed.
Now, holding steady in third place, we have The Chosen, Last Supper. It's amazing how these faith-based films just connect with their audience so consistently, and they do it in theaters week after week. The report even suggests it's looking strong for streaming, too.
It really shows you the power of knowing your audience, catering to a specific niche. The theatrical release, it's like a huge awareness builder.
Totally.
Builds a community, gets people talking, and then it creates this anticipation for when it finally hits streaming.
That's a smart approach.
For sure.
We also saw quieter openings for The Woman in the Yard from Universal and A24's Death of a Unicorn. Didn't exactly break box office records, but there's definitely a buzz online, especially among specific groups.
Yeah, these releases, they're clearly targeting a very specific audience, whether it's genre fans or people who love a certain director's style or people who are just into independent cinema.
Right.
Success for them isn't always about those big box office numbers. It's about finding their audience and resonating with them.
Yeah.
And that can lead to some really strong word of mouth and a longer-term cultural impact, even if it's within a smaller group.
Absolutely. Okay, this is where things get really interesting to me. Studio Ghibli's Princess Mononoke. The 4K IMAX re-release blew everyone away with its per-theater average.
Right.
We're talking a film that's already available pretty much everywhere.
Right.
So what does that tell us? Are studios going to start digging into their back catalogs and finding new ways to make money?
What's fascinating here is that there's clearly a demand for that premium movie experience, even for movies that we've already seen.
Totally.
Princess Mononoke in IMAX, that per-theater average, it shows that people are willing to pay for that bigger screen, the better sound, that whole experience of watching it with other people.
Yeah, it's different.
Definitely. So yeah, this could be a way for studios to bring those classic films back to life, give people a reason to see them in theaters again, maybe limited engagements, anniversary screenings. Something special to get people excited.
That makes sense. Looking ahead to April, it feels like everyone's waiting for the next big hit. We have a Minecraft movie, Sinners, The Accountant 2, Until Dawn. They're all tracking pretty consistently. No clear frontrunner yet, huh?
Not really, no. They're all projected to do well, but within expectations. I think everyone in the industry is waiting to see which one really captures the public's imagination, which one gets people talking. That's the film that's going to blow past those forecasts and become the must-see movie of the season.
Okay, let's move over to streaming. Netflix, it seems like they're keeping their global dominance going strong with Adolescence and The Electric State. What are some of the things that keep Netflix at the top of their game?
Well, the success of shows like Adolescence, especially in the UK, it shows that Netflix knows how to make those character-driven dramas that people connect with, not just in America, but all over the world.
Yeah.
And The Electric State, I mean, come on, that's Millie Bobby Brown. She's a star, and Netflix knows how to use that star power to pull people in.
She's a huge star.
Absolutely. So you see Netflix doing two things really well. They can spot rising talent, and they can create content that works across cultures.
And Peacock seems to have a big win with Wicked, right?
Yeah.
It was a top film across a bunch of platforms globally. It seems like their multi-window release plan, starting in theaters, then hitting on demand, worked out pretty well for them.
It really did. Wicked proves that a staggered release can be really effective. You build up that excitement with the theater run, make it an event, and then you release it on PVOD, which is premium video on demand, so people can rent or buy it digitally. And then finally, it goes to streaming.
Right.
So you're capturing all these different audiences at different points in time.
Very smart.
It maximizes the reach and, of course, the money they're making.
Makes total sense. Disney Plus is keeping their momentum going, too, with Moana 2 and Daredevil. Born Again performing well internationally. You can't deny the power of recognizable franchises.
Nope. Those are built-in fan bases, instant recognition. Those international numbers show how globally appealing Disney's core franchises are. People all over the world want to see these stories.
They really do. We also saw Hulu's Anora and Prime Video's Tyler Perry's Duplicity topping their own charts. I think it's so cool to see how different types of content find their home on different platforms.
Absolutely. Each streaming service is building its own unique library, attracting a specific audience, and what's performing well on each platform tells you a lot about the content strategy they're going for.
And let's talk about the U.S. streaming rankings. We saw a pretty interesting shift. Reacher on Prime Video, it overtook Netflix's 0 Day, and Despicable Me 4, top of the movie charts on Netflix, and it just moved over from Peacock. Plus, we had Venom, The Last Dance debut on Netflix. What's happening here? What's going on in the U.S. streaming market?
It's a battlefield out there. These changes, they show you just how dynamic and competitive streaming is in the U.S. The fact that a show like Reacher, which built up a lot of buzz through word of mouth, can overtake a heavily promoted Netflix show, that says a lot about the importance of quality and audience engagement.
For sure.
Then you've got Despicable Me 4 moving from Peacock to Netflix, and boom, instant top spot. That shows you the power of a family-friendly franchise on a platform with tons of subscribers.
Yeah.
And Venom, The Last Dance debuting on Netflix, it tells you that platforms are using those big, recognizable movies to draw in viewers and keep them subscribing.
Smart. Quick look at the music world. Bruno Mars, Billie Eilish, and Gracie Abrams are still hanging on in the Spotify top 10 alongside a bunch of new and returning artists. It's like a perfect blend of established names and new discoveries all in one place.
Exactly. The music streaming charts are a constant reflection of that balance. You have those artists with huge catalogs that people keep coming back to, and then you have this flow of new talent, new sounds, keeping things fresh. It's this awesome cycle of discovery.
It's a great time to be a music fan. And in terms of the talent buzz, the cast of Netflix's Adolescence is getting some serious recognition. We also have Sam Rockwell making a surprise appearance in The White Lotus Season 3, and everyone's talking about it. And Rachel Zegler, she's still in the news for Snow White. Streaming platforms and these upcoming projects, they're really keeping actors in the spotlight.
Oh, absolutely. Streaming platforms are a huge stage. They give actors exposure to audiences around the world. Even a small role or a cameo like Sam Rockwell's can boost an actor's career in a big way. And for someone like Rachel Zegler, even though her movie's not out yet, all the buzz and discussion keeps her and the project fresh in everyone's minds.
And it seems like Netflix is really good at this.
Yeah.
They drive engagement not just with their new releases like The Electric State, but they can also rekindle interest in older films like Kraven the Hunter by bringing them onto the platform. How important is this second window for films on streaming?
It's becoming vital. It gives films that maybe didn't have a huge theatrical run or didn't fully connect with audiences the first time around a chance to find a whole new, potentially much larger audience.
Yeah.
It can extend the life of a film, build anticipation for sequels or spin-offs. It really shows how the relationship between theatrical releases and streaming is changing.
Okay, let's talk about a project that's creating a ton of buzz. Disney's live-action Lilo and Stitch. This feels like a movie with so much heart, So much cultural significance, and the anticipation is huge.
It really is. The original Lilo and Stitch is such a beloved film, and the live-action version is tapping into that nostalgia, those themes of family and belonging that resonated with so many people.
Yeah, it's a special movie. And the trailer, I mean, over 150 million views in the first 24 hours. That makes it Disney's second most viewed live-action trailer ever, behind The Lion King from 2019.
Wow.
It even beat last year's The Little Mermaid. And it was the top trending topic on Twitter X and YouTube. Those are crazy numbers. What do they tell us about how big this movie could be?
Those numbers are huge. They show us just how much interest and awareness there is around this film.
Yeah.
To beat a recent Disney live-action remake in trailer views, that's significant. It means there's a built-in audience who are ready to see this story and these characters brought to life in a new way.
It's not just a U.S. thing either. There's massive interest all over the world. Hawaii is focused on that authentic representation. Asia, especially China, is driven by that nostalgia and curiosity factor. Latin America is hyped from the D23 Expo reveal. Europe, especially the UK, sees it as a great family event. And Oceania is cautiously optimistic about the cultural portrayal. It's so cool to see this global excitement.
It's fascinating. Each region is connecting with the film on a different level. The emphasis on cultural authenticity in Hawaii, the nostalgia in Asia, the excitement from events like D23 in Latin America, it all adds up to this global appeal that Disney's really good at tapping into.
Let's talk about the casting, because that's created a lot of conversation online. Mike Aloha as Lilo is getting amazing feedback, especially for the genuine representation she brings. That's a big win for Disney.
Oh, yeah. That overwhelmingly positive reaction to Maya Kealoha's casting is a big deal. It tells you how much audiences care about authentic representation, and when it's done well, it creates a lot of goodwill and excitement for the project.
Absolutely. And the return of Chris Sanders as the voice of Stitch. I mean, everyone loves that. It brings that familiarity and comfort to fans of the original.
Yeah, Chris Sanders, he's basically the voice of Stitch in everyone's minds.
Totally.
Bringing him back, it ensures that the character stays true to the original, and it was a smart move by Disney. The fans love it, and it adds to that sense of authenticity that everyone's looking for.
Sydney Agadong's casting as Nani, though, that stirred up some debate about representation. It goes to show how closely people watch these adaptations, especially when they have such a strong connection to the source material.
It really does. These adaptations are walking a tightrope. The fans have such strong feelings about these characters, and any change from their vision can lead to discussion, sometimes even criticism. It shows how much people care about these stories and how high their expectations are.
On a lighter note, Zach Galifianakis as Jumba and Billy Magnuson as Pleakley, everyone's excited to see what they bring to the table comedically. I feel like they could have some great chemistry on screen.
I think so too. Their comedic styles are so different, and it'll be interesting to see how they play those iconic characters in live action. That potential for humor and that dynamic between them, it's a big draw for a lot of viewers.
Definitely. Hannah Waddingham's role is still a mystery, but her involvement alone is getting people talking. She's such a talented actress, and it adds another layer of intrigue to the whole project.
Hannah Waddingham has a huge fan base, and her being in this film, it's a big draw for audiences. All the speculation about who she's playing, is it a new character, as someone from the original, it keeps people engaged and keeps the film in the news.
Smart. And bringing back Tia Carrere, who voiced Nani in the original, to play Mrs. Kakoa in the live action. That's a really nice touch.
It is. It shows respect for the animated film, and it bridges the gap between different generations of fans. Bringing back a familiar voice in a new role, that's something longtime fans are going to appreciate.
I love that. The social media buzz around Lilo and Stitch is like a textbook example of how fandom works these days. You've got Twitter X for instant reactions and debates about the casting. TikTok is full of viral trends and people showing their love for the movie in creative ways. Instagram is all about the visuals, fan art, and celebrating the film. Reddit has those in-depth discussions, and people are cautiously optimistic there. YouTube is all about the trailer views and reaction video. Even Facebook and Douyin are showing a lot of engagement, especially that nostalgic family-focused stuff. It's everywhere.
And that platform-specific engagement is gold for Disney. It tells them exactly how different audiences are interacting with the marketing, what's working on each platform. That international traction on platforms like Douyin, that's huge for understanding the film's global potential.
Yeah, it's really impressive. And the merch. The collectibles. I mean, Stitch is already a merchandising superstar, so none of this is surprising. We're seeing crazy demand for plush toys. Those Disney Stitch puppetronics are flying off the shelves. Lilo's dress is back in style. And we're even seeing things like Stitch slime kits and phone cases. They're going all out with the merch.
Stitch has been a merchandising powerhouse for years, and this live-action movie is like throwing gasoline on the fire.
Yeah?
The sheer amount of merch they're releasing, from the classic toys to those more out-there items, it shows how popular Stitch is and how big the retail potential is for this film.
All right, here's the big question. How do you get people to see this in theaters when they can just wait for it to hit Disney Plus 11? I mean, all the signs are pointing to a huge hit, but will people actually go to the cinema? The box office projections are looking good, but what can Disney do to make this a must-see theatrical event?
That's the challenge, right? We're living in a world where people are used to waiting for stuff to come to streaming. You have to give them a really good reason to get off the couch and go to the theater. Disney needs to emphasize the things you can only get in a cinema. The visuals, the sound, that shared experience.
Right.
Maybe they do limited theatrical windows or offer exclusive content or experiences you can only get if you see it in theaters.
Make it an event.
Exactly. And of course, the emotional connection to the story, those beloved characters, that's going to be a big driver too.
Definitely. Okay, shifting gears to some bigger industry news. The James Bond franchise has new producers, Amy Pascal and David Heyman. They're taking over under Amazon, so it's a new era for 007.
Big time. These are producers with serious credentials, and them coming in with Amazon's backing, it tells me they're committed to the franchise and probably have a fresh take on how to keep Bond relevant.
It'll be exciting to see what they do. Disney Plus is developing a live-action Power Rangers reboot. Jonathan E. Steinberg and Dan Schatz, who worked on Percy Jackson, are in talks to lead it. Another classic franchise getting a modern makeover.
The Power Rangers have fans across multiple generations.
Yeah.
A live-action reboot on Disney Plus Stowe, that's a way to bring in a whole new audience and give the older fans something nostalgic to enjoy. And the Percy Jackson guys, that's an interesting choice. It suggests they're going for a story-driven approach, which could be really cool.
And there's a bidding war going on for the rights to adapt the video game Split Fiction, which is known for its really emotional story.
Yeah.
Story Kitchen LLC, which is known for being pretty faithful to the source material in their adaptations, they're involved too.
Yeah.
This bidding war, it really shows how valuable video game IP has become, right?
Definitely. The entertainment industry is recognizing the potential of these games.
Yeah.
Split Fiction, with its strong emotional core, it has the potential to be a great movie or TV show, and having Story Kitchen on board means they're likely to respect the game, which is important for gamers and for attracting a wider audience.
Okay, let's finish up with these brand collaborations. Some of them are just so creative. We have Honda and Pokémon mixing cars with nostalgia. Lego and Pokémon are finally joining forces for buildable sets, which, honestly, I think everyone's been waiting for. Mickey Mouse is getting a high-fashion makeover with Marc Jacobs.
Nice.
The Muppets are bringing their retro charm to everyday clothes. JP, Magic. The Gathering Secret Lair is getting a SpongeBob SquarePants crossover, which sounds wonderfully bizarre. Keynuts and Starbucks are creating those cozy coffee shop vibes. Harry Potter is bringing some magic to PUMA's sporty style. And Krusty the Clown is teaming up with Crocs.
Wow.
I can't even imagine what those look like. These partnerships, they're a testament to how brands can work together to create something really cool and reach new audiences.
They really are. These collaborations are all about taking those beloved characters and stories and bringing them into new spaces. You're targeting different demographics, playing to the strengths of each brand, and often creating products that have a real emotional impact.
Okay, let's wrap it up. This week in entertainment, media, and licensing, we saw a box office that's still finding its way, a streaming landscape that's constantly changing, a ton of excitement for Lilo and Stitch, big moves in some major franchises, and some incredibly creative brand partnerships. It's a wild world out there.
It is. And it shows you how interconnected everything is, how a film does in theaters can affect its streaming success. And those characters and stories that we love, they're driving everything from entertainment to licensing.
There's a lot to think about. I think the most interesting takeaway this week is how the way we experience entertainment is evolving. With a film like Lilo and Stitch creating so much buzz online, it really makes you think about the value of the theatrical experience in a world where we can get everything on demand.
Right.
How do studios make going to the cinema special when streaming is so easy? That's a question that's going to shape the future of the industry.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Figuring out how to navigate this changing landscape and understand what audiences want on different platforms, that's going to be crucial for everyone in entertainment.